Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to the basics of making a Google Doc and maybe some ideas on word processing in Google Docs. So right now you see my Google Drive account, which Google Drive, this is essentially like Windows Explorer. These are my folders here. I have a PDF file, a Word document, and two Google Doc files. And I can change the way these files look. Look over here. I can hit grid view, and this gives me a bit more of a thumbnail view of my files, or I kind of prefer the list view. But that's something neat to know that you can do there. So I'm going to hit new and Google Doc, and my browser opens up a new tab when I do that. And essentially here you have a nice, beautiful word processor. You have your file name up here. You have your pull-down menus. You can get help. This table menu is for making tables, tools, formatting, insert image, links, different objects, view, edit, and file. So these are the traditional pull-down menus that you used to see in Office 2003, and OpenOffice still has these traditional menus. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to call this activity healthy eating. That might be the theme for this file, healthy eating. And I'm going to hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually 5 times. Underneath healthy eating, I am going to put a horizontal rule. So what you do is you say insert horizontal line. And that's kind of neat. It puts a nice horizontal line across your page. I'm going to highlight the title and maybe make it like 18-point font. You know what? Maybe 24. Or I could undo. Now notice these toolbar buttons, or my format toolbar buttons. If I just hover my mouse over them, it gives you a little tooltip. I'm going to undo the formatting there. I could also do styles. So I could do like a heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, or title. So that's kind of neat. That's another way to format text. And if you make many documents and you keep your headings and titles consistent, it kind of creates some consistency, which is nice. So anyway, I'm going to put my name, and I'm going to put the date, which is, let's say September 10th. 2016. And so I could go ahead and continue to add content to this document, but one thing I'm going to do for my document header, I'm always going to try to put a title and then my name and the date. And I often tell students to try to do that. Whenever you make a document, give it a good title and then your name and your date, and it kind of honors your work. That's a good starting point there. Another thing I might do right now before I move on is save my file. So in Microsoft Word or OpenOffice, you traditionally have to say File, Save, or Save As. One thing I can do is I'm gonna highlight healthy eating and maybe hit Control-C or copy, and then I'm gonna come up here to Untitled Document, and I'm gonna just click it. And what happened is sometimes it'll just you know what? I'm going to paste healthy eating. So I'm going to paste healthy eating there, and then dash my name, Dwayne Murphy. So every time you save a file, take a minute, give it a good file name, a good self-documenting file name, so that later on, if you're back, now I just switched back to my Google Drive. All your files should have a really nice name. If I had named my files Untitled Document or Document 1, I'd have no idea what's in them. But if you name your file well, like Healthy Eating, then you'll know what your file is. And another thing you can do is if you search for it later, if you go, oh, I had a file about health food or healthy eating, you could search with some good keywords and you'll find your file. So moving on, I've started off my file here with a nice header, And I would tell any of my students, every file you make, give it a beautiful file name and a nice header here. Your name, the date, and a good title. Moving on, I'm going to show you how to add an image in Google Docs. So the way I add an image, you could do insert image. And you could drag an image from your Windows Explorer. You could literally drag and drop it here or use the file chooser dialog box here. But a neat way to add an image is what's called by URL. So if you can find an image on the web and copy the URL of that image, you could paste it here and then get the image in. So I'll show you how to do that. In Google Chrome, my web browser, I'm going to hit Control T. And I make a new tab, and I can Google search here healthy food. And if you Google healthy food, you're going to get websites about healthy food. But we want images of healthy food, and there's so many beautiful images that you can find in Google image search. I'm going to go ahead and hit these apples. So there's a couple ways I could get this image of an apple. I could right click, copy the image, and then go into my document and paste it. That's probably the easiest way. Let's try that. Right click, copy image, and then come back to our document and we right click and we paste. So there it is. That's a really nice, easy way to add an image. I'll show you another way to add that same image. You could right-click, copy image address, and what you're copying there is not the image itself, but the website address or the URL of this image on the internet. And then when you go back in your document, you could say Insert Image. You get an Insert Image dialog box here where you can. By URL, now you could almost paste here, or you might know to paste is Control V. Uh-oh, that didn't work. So you know what? Maybe I'll try a different image. I'm going to right-click, copy image address, and try that one more time for you. Okay, that works out. So that is a nice way to get an image in your document. You could either copy and paste it from Google Images or copy it by URL. Now, by the way, when you take anything off the web, you should give it some credit. You should almost get permission. But just for educational purposes here, I might just say image source, colon, and then Control V. That's the URL. So I'm giving a little bit of credit for that image, but there's actually more formal ways to cite images, which we might get to later on in the course. Okay, so moving on, I could type some text into this document. Here's something neat. I can zoom in. I can zoom in to maybe 150%, which is the width of the page, or I could zoom out. I could zoom out to 50% and see the whole page. So that's kind of a neat feature. I don't think a lot of people realize you can zoom in and out of a Google Doc. Next thing, and maybe kind of the last thing I'll show you, is how to add tables. And I love adding tables. And adding tables in documents and in web pages is a very powerful feature. It helps you lay things out. So the way to add a table in Google Docs is to go to the Table pull-down menu and say Insert Table. And then you left-click over this grid. Now, you can make a table any dimensions you want here, up to 20 by 20. But I'm going to go 5 by 2. And so that's kind of neat. Again, Table, Insert Table, just click out your dimensions. Once you make a table, you could give your table, your top row, some column headers. I'm going to put the days of the week. I could maybe prefix this table with a weekly snapshot of my breakfast. So I could write down what I eat for breakfast every day under each day of the week. I could go ahead and do the omelet. Now, let's say I screw up the spelling of omelet. Beautiful thing about modern word processors is if you misspell a word, you can you're notified with that red underline, and you can right-click, just right-click, spell check as you go, and when you right-click something, you get a pop-up box, and right at the top of the pop-up box, you get your correct spelling. So I'm going to say Cheerios here. I don't know if I've misspelled that. Jeez. Oh, I did. I can say apples and coffee. What else could I have for breakfast? Alright, so adding tables is kind of neat. One thing I like to do with tables is tint the top row. And the way you do that is you highlight the top row, and you point at the blue, you point somewhere in this row, right-click, Table Properties. And under the Table Properties dialog box, you can change things like the table border, the color, and the thickness. But we want cell background color, okay? And we'll choose a nice light color, a nice light green. So we're coming along pretty nicely here. We've shown you how to add images, how to add tables, and maybe one last thing I can show you. Before we end this tutorial is bullets and numbering. I could and maybe even hyperlinks. So what I could do here is say 3 good websites about health are, and what I could do is I could do a numbered list here. So I'm going to click there, and it starts with 1. Now remember we looked for healthy food images. I can go back to all. You could do searches, and with your search here, you could do I don't know, healthy Canadians. This one looks good. So I'm gonna right click, open a new tab, Time Magazine. Oh. Okay. So I got the Time Magazine. Sorry, I just kind of oh, I'm gonna hit enter here. And notice as I hit enter, this link turns blue. And then number 2, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to show you this. Government of Canada health food site. So here's the Government of Canada health food site. I could copy this URL, right click copy, and then come back here. And instead of pasting the URL like I did in the first case, I could take words here, highlight them, and I could hit this chain link. And notice under the chain link here, my tooltip says I could do Control K. So you can try to, as you get better with computers, try to use the keyboard shortcuts. So I've pasted with Control V that Government of Canada link there. And then I'm going to say Time Magazine. Oh, no, not Time Magazine. I'll say Fitness Magazine. Oh, link. And we can come back to our Google search results. I'm going to click here, get the Fitness Magazine URL, and highlight. And do you remember the keyboard shortcut for hyperlink? It's Control K. Think of the K at the end of the word hyperlink. And I could just paste that URL I just copied. So there you have it. I've